Just going live. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so did you do... Oh no, I was just working on the prep assignment.
Cool, and that's what I've been doing too.
Okay.
So let's. So I'm looking at the rent a runway case discussion instructions.
Okay.
And it says have someone offer an opening prayer. Rent a runway case discussion instructions. Okay. It says have someone offer an opening prayer. Rent a runway case discussion instructions. Do you have an echo? Okay. It says have someone offer an opening prayer. Rent a runway case discussion instructions. Do you have an echo? Okay. It says have someone offer an opening prayer. What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, what is going on?
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't know what's going on.
You know, sometimes when I run a Google Hangout,
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't know what's
sometimes there's another window that might be open. You might actually be playing our recording at the same time as we're recording it.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Sometimes there's another window that might be open. You might actually be playing our recording at the same time as we're recording it.
Yeah. Okay. Is that better?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't hear myself, so
I
think we're
freaking out. I was like, what is going on? Okay. No, we're good now. Okay, so what were you saying?
It says to have someone offer an opening prayer. It's the first item on the agenda according to the case discussion instructions.
Oh, okay, do you want to do that then?
Sure, I'll do that. Unless you want to do it, Rebecca. You want to offer the prayer? No, I'll offer it. Okay. Fold your arms. Good job. Our Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this opportunity to discuss this case study, and we're thankful for BYU Idaho and opportunities it might provide us, and it is providing us to learn and to grow. Please bless us that we will have Thy Spirit and that we'll be able to discuss the things that we need to and cover all the points that need to be covered. And we offer this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay.
Okay. Invite anyone in the group to share their thoughts about something of spiritual nature. You have any spiritual thoughts?
I mean, I didn't think of any, so.
I didn't either, but I can pull up I'm going to pull up a random scripture. And then we can see how it applies, maybe.
Okay.
All right. My diaper. Let's see here. Can I fix my diaper? Yeah, Rebecca, I'll fix it. Is that better? Here you go. And the earth brought forth grass, every herb. This is Moses, Pearl of Great Price, chapter 2. And the earth brought forth grass, every herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed should be in itself after its kind. And I, God, saw that all these things which I made were good. So, I guess that reminds me, well, that's the creation, obviously, and the Lord, or those that were involved in the creation, they kind of did things in order, and there was a specific sequence of events, and with connecting that with the case, I can see that if we are to successfully establish a business, we probably want to do it in certain steps.
Right, there's an order to it.
If they threw the animals on the earth before throwing the seeds down, then the animals would all starve to death. So, yeah, exactly. So, all right. So that's my thought.
Good. Okay. So then what?
Mhm.
Okay, so then it says, what grade would you give the founders of Rent the Runway for their work in starting Rent the Runway?
Vote
I would,
individually. Go ahead.
I don't know, I guess grading them on like an A, B, C, D, or an F scale. I'd give them, well, for the idea, probably like an A, because I know a lot of people, dresses are expensive, clothes are expensive in general.
Mhm.
Um, and we don't wear them as much. I don't know. We have so much that we don't use all of it to the full effect. So I think it's smart just to rent them. So I think the idea, I'd give it an A. Um, and I've actually used them. I used them for my wedding,
Oh,
and they're
cool.
really easy to work with. Yeah, because the bridesmaid dresses I wanted, I think they were 1,200 originally, and we were able to rent all of them, and they were $79 to rent. So that saved a bunch of money.
Yeah, definitely. How many dresses did you rent?
Um, I have 4 sisters, and then I have 3 sister-in-laws, so there's 7, and then each of them got 2 dresses, so we had 14 dresses total that were sent because you get the next one for free. So you get, so we spent, well, so it's like 80, and then times 7. I mean, it was a couple $100, but compared to if we bought the dress new,
Like
and there were
$1,200.
dresses that they'd wear twice. You'd have to have definitely a special event to wear them to.
Yeah. Well, that many dresses, I came up with like 17,000. So 560 definitely beats 16,800. That's
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea too. Um, it's interesting that they really didn't have a whole lot of background in the designer clothes industry and all of that. Hey, Rebecca, you need to keep those on. You okay? We'll put it back on. Sorry.
No, it's fine. But the people they didn't really know anything about fashion. They had an idea on what they wanted to do. But what is it? But the people that they brought on, they knew about fashion. They brought on somebody from Bloomingdale's. They brought on somebody from The Knot, which is like a wedding site. Like everything that was said in there, and I was like, oh yeah, I read that. Oh yeah, I read that.
So,
Uh, yeah, go ahead.
oh, as far as a grade goes, I mean, with their experience and everything, I mean, they didn't get everything perfect, but I don't know that anybody can completely, you know,
Right.
get the numbers and be able to forecast, a perfect number. So, it was profitable. So because it was profitable, I guess I'd give them an A. But
I know I don't really know how we're supposed to grade them, but
yeah,
for having their backgrounds and where they got to, definitely an A on their approach, because they didn't think that they just knew everything. They definitely took the aspect where we're going to learn and we're going to kind of mold it into something that's going to work better
mhm.
than just our original idea. Like the fact that they fired a web designer 2 times because they didn't like the design. That takes guts. It's not, I mean, they spent $45,000 on one of them, which when you're starting up a business, that's got to be a chunk of money that you don't really want to just blow away.
And they did everything incrementally.
Yeah.
Um, in the instructions, at least the individual instructions in preparing for the case, it talks about creating a kind of a timeline,
Yeah.
and I kind of tried to do that, and it just showed all of the different steps they took in certain order. So I think they did a good job of that. And although they weren't, yeah, they had hire and fire web designers so many times and other things. I think they didn't have a perfect experience in all those different fields, so they made corrections as they went. I think that's cool and contributed to their high grade, I suppose. So
Right. And they learned and they
yeah.
realized, okay, can't do this the next time. Make sure that we're not going to make that mistake each time.
Yeah.
So
Um, so it says, what specifically did you see as most effective?
I think the most effective would be the trial runs. I feel like they did a lot of trial runs just to make sure that their model was good before they put it out for the public. Because this is something that you really have to trust the customer on. You can't just say, oh, yeah, we're going to run all this stuff. Well, how is it going to be returned? How is it going to be perceived? And people are going to pay that much money. There's so many different things that you kind of have to go into.
I agree. And where did the founders stumble? And I think you touched on that with the web developers. Another thing was the amount of inventory in stock. It sounded like they really didn't have enough to meet the demand. But I don't know how they could have done a better job at that. I suppose they could have had more leverage to start with, or they could have had a huge amount of inventory, but they really didn't know whether or not it'd be profitable. So
Yeah, that one's just hard. I think they
yeah.
did good with what they knew, because it's hard to, you don't know how many people have events that come up that they need to rent dresses for or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
They were
yeah,
testing the waters, and so yeah, I
right.
think
And then the first
going with
one
what they knew.
spot.
So maybe that's not so much something they stumbled with. They actually did well in that regard.
They did good in regards to
Okay.
where they were coming from, and because they were kind of the first one in this industry, I would say. But I would still say they stumbled because it still wasn't perfect.
Do it over there, Rebecca. I agree. Yeah.
So, what should they have done differently? They kind of touched on it in this study, how they should have done more research for their web design.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they should have had a couple more, because they launched it, let's see here. They launched it November 9th of 2010, I want to say. Or was it 2009 that they launched it?
I'm
Yeah, it
gonna
was 2009.
share my screen. I've kind of got a timeline going, but you can keep going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was 2009 they launched it in, where they, I'm trying to find it in here. Yeah, their launch date was November 9th, like the public launch date, but then they had a beta launch date, just like for the service, November 2nd, just to kind of see how it would work. And that was a whole week. I think they probably should have done 2 weeks instead.
Yeah, that probably would have been. Yeah, November 2nd was the beta launch. November 9th was the full. Yeah, so 1 week. It's kind of like, yeah. That probably would have been a better idea to have given it more time.
Right, because that way they would have been able to see how the online, like how fast the online service is, how far in advance people book the dresses, or how, what is it, or so they can go through a whole cycle with those customers rather than just,
Hold on just a second. I'm sorry,
okay.
the baby is choking. Hey, Sarah, Rebecca, you need to pick all of those up. Pick all of those up. Okay, thank you. Okay. Are you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Sorry about that. Goodness.
No, you're fine.
My my wife was up late with kids and
Oh,
was trying to give her a little bit of sleep, but she's
yeah.
up now, and I'm gonna pass them off to her and go somewhere else a little more quiet. Goodness. Okay. It's not one thing, it's another. Hey, Sarah, you take her. Okay, Rebecca dumped out some little beads.
Oh no.
I think she started choking on one. She's okay now.
So I've got to get the vacuum over here.
Yes. It was these things. So you might be able to just see them. They're bigger. I didn't know any went as far as she was, and I was trying to keep an eye on her, but I don't know if it was a bead or not.
That's garbage.
I'm in a meeting, so I will
Thank you.
see you later.
Honey, those are not good for the kids. Yes, it's gonna hurt really bad.
Okay, I am back. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. Again, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I know life. It gets just crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so we were going over the second question.
Yeah, I think so. The yeah, we went over the second question about their business model.
Let's see, things that they had done. Where did the founders stumble? We talk about what should they have done differently. Does the order in which they took specific actions matter?
And I feel like we touched on that with the scripture on how you have to have a specific order in which they do things. Because you can't launch the website if you don't have the dresses.
Right, and they went and got legal advice about their corporation.
Right.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, well, this isn't the best
I know it's better than mine.
charting tool, but let's see. And if it was on my other screen, it would be a little better. You'd probably be able to see it better. But they got some initial consultations, and then they went from there, and they got legal advice. The case really didn't lay out everything in exact order. It was kind of, I found that they were kind of dates spread all over the place. So that was kind of fun to deal with, but
go back and forth.
It was interesting. Yeah, it went back and forth. It was interesting that they refined their process as they talked with the different designers. They didn't get discouraged. They learned how they could better communicate with them and figure out how they can actually get on the same page rather than try to go behind their backs. We're trying to partner with them.
Right. Because they definitely changed the way their business model or their business plan after they talked to Diane. Yeah,
they were a lot more of a key partner, and they wanted to make sure that they it was talking about how they didn't want to lose one, so they wanted to make sure they were 100% on board before they signed them up.
Which I think is smart, because they also said that they didn't want to partner with somebody and they leave because they're not happy.
Yeah.
Because that's worse.
And I imagine, the business is mostly word of mouth. And if they've got certain designer clothes on hand, and if people tell their friends, and then they go on the site and the news picks it up or whatever, and they say that they've been dumped or dropped, they could lose some customers that maybe signed up just because there were certain clothes in their inventory. So
right.
Bad publicity. They didn't want that. And then, making sure that they, like you you talked about testing the waters, testing the product with groups. That was definitely key before they started the business.
Right, and they tested with their target group too, which would have been I would say 18 to 24 age.
I thought it was really interesting how one university they did that, and they actually let them try the dresses on and everything. And then in another university, they did the same thing, except they wouldn't let them try them on. They only let them look at them.
I think they were
And
just seeing the, what is it?
like the
How it's
reaction.
different work.
What's that?
They're probably just seeing the rental rate or the rental percentage
Uh-huh.
or like success rate out of it to where they, man, I can't even think of the words how to say it correctly. Well, because if they're going to do it online, are people going to want to try the dresses on before they order them? Like, they had to figure that out and see if it really did matter or not.
It was interesting that the rates were higher when they just saw the dresses and they weren't trying them on.
Right. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
I would have
Okay.
thought it would have been the other way around, but
Yeah, you'd think so. But maybe once they had the dress on, they were satisfied. They got their kicks and giggles out of it,
right.
and then yeah. So, and then of course they were able to rent more. The percentage was higher when they were in groups and when they were actually there to see the thing rather than when they were just looking at them online. I think it's kind of a given. Are you ready to go on to the second question?
Yep.
Okay. I think that one is, have the founders of R&T validated their business model? What is a business? So have they validated their business model? Do you think so?
I wouldn't say it's like set in stone because I still feel like they're in the learning stages and they're still trying to figure out what's best. But I feel like they've got the overall picture of the model down.
Like they've validated it as they've gone. They kind of validated it to this
Right.
point as they've made corrections and as they've let it be fluid. I agree. So what is a business model? So I'm taking another class where this is kind of how they show a business model as being.
Okay.
You've got key partners, key activities, key resources, value proposition, customer relationship, segments, channels, cost, and revenues. So you haven't taken the B383 class, have you?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? I wonder if is this something new? Have you seen this
Yeah, it is.
before? Okay. They were talking about doing some piloting and changing some things, so maybe this is, I guess they revamped the class or something, but, and any of the business models you worked with probably aren't incorrect, but this is just a new deal, I guess. So they show it as being as fluid, and you've got all these bricks that kind of compose this business model, and they suggest you make it in a way so that you can move things around. So, for example, they had a whole bunch of web designers, and those would have been, I guess, key resources. And I put them on here as I read about them, and then I took them off. So in other models, you might think that a key partner or a customer, a key partner is a customer. Like they were talking about in this other class, they're talking about how this company was marketing to, they thought that the customers were doctors and patients at this hospital, and they realized that the doctors and patients were actually key partners and that the actual customer was Medicare because Medicare wrote the check.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I read that just recently.
Yeah, maybe it's this class. I don't know. I'm kind of getting some of this jumbled up. I don't know, but they ended up moving the doctors and the patients from the customer segment to the key partners because they needed to communicate with the doctors and patients. And then they put Medicare on the key segment section. And then laws changed and Medicare wasn't paying the bill and the hospitals had to pay the bill because first because of some legal issues and complications. So
Because,
it's just fluid. That's how they've shown me what a business model is, rather than a million-page, fine print document of legalese.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
So anyway, be specific. The reading highlights 4 components of a business model. Did you see those?
I just read through the case study. I wasn't looking in the case study for the business models.
Right. Well, their business model was they worked on it the whole time. But did you see the 4 components, the CVP, GTM, TOM, CFF? Did any of that jump out at you?
No, it didn't jump out to me.
Because I couldn't find it. I don't remember reading it in any of the supplemental information. There wasn't really much.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And if I go to the actual case, let's see here. I've got it here somewhere. Here, there's Dropbox. I don't want Dropbox. I want the Runway case study. Can I not do a word search? What's the deal? Oh, my keyboard's off. CFF. So there's no reference to CFF in the case.
But I wonder if it's just we're supposed to look for that kind of model that it's not going to point it out specific.
Well, it says the reading highlights 4 components of a business model. Components. Well, I Googled some of the terms, and I think that CVP means customer value proposition, and GTM might be go-to-market channels. I looked up TOM, and I thought that might have reference to business and finance. I don't see how that acronym connects, but some websites were saying that TOM might mean business and finance somehow. And CFF, I didn't look that one up.
I'm looking that one up right now, and it's
Okay.
Yeah. All I have is cystic fibrosis something. I'm like, that's
That must
not
be what
it.
it is. But is that Google? That's Google, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I know
Okay,
that's
well.
not right.
Well, then the class must be outdated. Google's like the source. Yep, I got cystic fibrosis too. So
Yeah.
business, breakthrough business models. Yeah, I don't know. I imagine that it probably is something in here. You got the value proposition in the middle. You got channels here. The other one was business finance is probably the bottom section of this, cost and revenues, and then CFF. I don't know, but this is how I see a business model, and I've put sticky notes on it. So I think as long as we know what a business model is and different aspects of it, I think we're good. What does it mean to validate a business model? How do you know if it is validated?
I would say if
So
you're using it, if it works.
by testing it out,
Yeah.
testing assumptions and seeing if they, yeah. Which elements are validated? I think all of the elements can be tested and validated. What evidence do you have to support your position?
I would say in testing it out. That's a hard question. I don't really know. Like, what is it asking?
I think, well,
Well, they're
Yeah,
testing it out and it's working.
yeah, I think you're right. I don't know that there's a better answer than that. I mean, the case, it talks about how they tested different aspects and beliefs out that they had, and they tweaked things and changed it, and it was fluid. And so I think we're good there.
How many times? Okay, so then how many times does a dress need to be rented in order to break even? Where's my spreadsheet?
I saw that the cost of a dress for them was $226.
Yeah, that's one I used from Exhibit 4.
And the revenue per rental was $90,
Right.
which means that if you take the 226 and divide it by 90, I got 2.5, but that might not include expenses. That's just the revenue per.
So I got, well, it says 7.66, so I'd round that up to 8 dresses. And that's just using the formula they gave us in the video, the rental video for a spreadsheet.
Okay.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. And I've got, okay, so the number of videos, the number of dresses per rental was 2, right?
Right. That's what it said to use.
Cost per dress, 226. Revenue per is 90. Variable cost per rental, so
It's $31.
where do you get the 31?
From Exhibit 4. So it's page 19.
Oh yeah, okay, variable cost. There we go. Thank you. Contribution margin, break even. You have 7.66?
Yep.
That's what I got. So 8.
Right. I would round it up to 8.
Rentals in the first month, or are we even asked about that?
Okay. So for that, rentals in the first month, I got it from page 9 in the 3rd paragraph. And it says, okay, just kidding. It can't be the 3rd paragraph. It's the 1st paragraph. So it said on average during the period, 60% of Rent the Runway's dress inventory was out for rental.
Okay.
So, and then it also said that their inventory was 800 dresses on page 8. That's 800 dresses and 160 styles.
Oh. So 480.
Right, so I got 480.
Okay. Number in inventory 800.
Mm-hmm.
Average rentals per month 0.6. Estimated annual utilization 7.2. So their annual profits per are negative 27.
Yep, that's what I got.
It's no good. All right.
So how many dresses? Oh yeah, we already answered that question.
How many times has an average dress been rented out during the first week? We got that one.
It said 60, right?
How many times has an average dress been rented during the first 2 months of operation?
Well, that wouldn't be 60. It'd be
Well,
480. Or how many times? Yeah, I would say it's 40 unless I'm not understanding the question today.
well, 480 is the rentals in the first month, right? So you got
It's actually, it just says for the first period. In a sentence before that, it says, although the site has only been live for just 2 months already, 12.5% of customers had ordered more than once on average during the period. So I don't know if that's for that month or if it's for the first 2 months. But it also says on average, that's how much is out for rental. So I figured I could use it's the same for both months.
Okay. Let me think about this. How many times is an average? So the average rent per month per dress, we have 0.6, right?
Right.
So this question is asking to take that number and multiply it by 2, right? Because it's asking for 2 months.
Well, since it's a percentage, it could be the same rate for both months. That's the average for 2 months.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so on average during the period, yeah, like you're saying, 2 months. Yes, okay. All right. I'm just kind of lagging behind you. You had already talked about that. Okay, so
No, it's fine.
what do these results imply about the viability of the business? Well, right now they're not doing too well.
Yeah, I'd say it's concerning.
Yes, very much so.
I would say they need to get probably more dresses in. Let's see. I don't know.
It's interesting that the first 2 months they were talking about having stock out. I mean, they were renting out more than. I mean, they had a huge list of people that wanted to come in, but the only reason why they couldn't accept more is because they didn't have enough inventory, right?
Right. So, and I only know this, or this is what I'm guessing concerning I have ordered dresses. They carry the dresses in so many sizes. So
Mm-hmm.
they go from 00 all the way up to like a 16. And then in there's regular, there's short, and there's long. So there's tons of different sizes. So I wonder if just that the sizes they got, because there's 800 dresses, but there's only 160 styles, which can make you stock out more depending on the girls that are ordering them. If that makes sense at all.
Right, yeah, definitely. So it sounds to me like the issue isn't so much whether or not they have enough inventory, it's having the right inventory of the right things.
Right. But it's hard. That's also something that they have to fine tune to see what sizes are most rented, but they still need
Yeah,
to have every size available.
exactly. Yeah. And that's not something that's going to be, they're going to be able to find out until they've got a history. I mean,
Right.
they're probably not going to have as many 16s as they're going to have some of these others. You know,
Right.
they've got to do some statistics on it, find out exactly what it is. So if
That
they
was
can,
my wedding was figuring out that not all the sizes that I wanted to order were there.
yeah,
Even though we all got the same dress, or all the bridesmaids got the same dress, not all the sizes were there.
uh, so if they were able to take that information and if they had enough capital to fine tune things, then a $27 uh, in the negative, it might not be such a bad thing as long as they've got the capital to continue to grow a little bit and to fine tune exactly what inventory sizes they need so that in the future they can be more profitable from that. So
Right.
I don't know. I mean, right now they're in the negative, but they may not be in the negative much. Negative 27 times how many dresses did they have in total?
800.
Times 800. So that's 21,000 in the negative.
Which, starting out a business, you're going to be negative.
Yeah. Were there any other
fixed
hints?
costs though.
Were there any other hints about fixed costs?
Yeah, or not really in there. And I don't really know how to put it into the problem.
Okay. Is it asking for that information? What is this? How many times is the average dress? Yeah. I guess it's not really asking for that much information, but it would be interesting.
You know.
The last case study, there was information given in the individual preparation. I'm going to look that up real quick and see if they want us to look at that.
I didn't think. It just says an average order cycle is 8 days. Which it's not. Oh, it says from picking to restocking.
Why would they ask us how many average dress?
Okay, so because I know not everybody orders 2 dresses for their given style. I mean, you can because it's free. But if they just had number of dresses 1, or number of dresses per rental was 1, they'd be making money. So it's not really like they're losing money.
I guess I'm not following.
Oh, okay. So let me see here. So in the spreadsheet where it says number of dresses per rental, we had 2 because
Right.
when you're able to order a dress, you can get a second size for free. So in the prep assignment, it told us, don't forget that Rent the Runway ships 2 dresses of a given style per order to ensure fit. Now, if they just ordered 1 dress, if you just changed it in the spreadsheet to 1, they'd be making a profit of $259 per dress. If that makes sense at all.
I have it coming up as $198.
I know where I messed it up.
Or maybe I'm missing up.
$198. No. I was playing with numbers and I had to change it all back. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
$198.
190. Okay, not 198.90 is what I've got. But they do send out 2, don't they? So wouldn't that number stay at 2?
They don't have to send out 2. It's only if the customer asks for it.
Oh, only if the customer asks. So we could do a goal seek if we really wanted to, and we could do the annual profit to 0 and by changing this number. So they come out with a break even if on average people only ordered 1.87 or 1.9 dresses. So
Which I would guess it'd be around that amount anyways.
You're gonna have a small percentage that are gonna only order 1. Yeah.
Right.
So that's like 5%, I think.
Right, and that's the other thing is like if the other size is not available, some people just order the 1 dress and hope it fits.
It's true.
So
And
that's really technical.
and also if they've got repeat customers who are going to know their sizes with these brands, they're only going to order the size they're going to order the size they know works.
Right.
Right. I wonder if the company permits them to order 2 dresses of the same size, or do they have to be 2 different sizes?
See, that's the other thing that it can kind of get really iffy because you can order because some girls know their size. They're good on size. It's the length of the dress, depending on how long it is. Because for long dresses, a short is going to be super short on somebody that's tall,
Mm-hmm.
or just like a regular is going to be super long on a girl that's short. So they can order a 6 regular and a 6 short. So it's the same size, it's just a different length.
Huh, okay. Well, you're definitely wealth of information here. This is the first time I've heard of the company, so
Oh, it's awesome. It really is.
you've got some great insights.
But I wouldn't know any of this if I wouldn't have ordered the dresses at all.
So so about 5%. So yeah, I mean, they could be in the black right now. It should be fabulous for them. Although if they're just starting out, that is something that maybe their customers aren't doing. Most of their customers are probably ordering too. But as they retain customers and as the customers learn the system and they're going to have more and more customers, they're going to have a greater percentage that aren't going to be ordering too. So
Right.
I think you're right there. So if we go back to the questions, I think we covered that question. What do these results imply about the viability? Are they promising? Right now they're not, but we're saying that they could actually be, or in the near future.
Right.
So should they seek to scale quickly now or address operational efficiencies?
I would say address operational efficiencies, but in that, to address operational efficiencies, that could mean order more dresses in different sizes, which could mean to grow.
Yeah. I think with more information, I think if we knew more about how many, dresses people were ordering, if they were ordering 1 or 2 or what percentage, and I think that'd give us some insights as to whether or not they were in the black right now. And if they are, and with the huge demand, if they don't, because it's word of mouth and because they've got so many people spreading this, it's like fire. And if they've got disgruntled people that aren't being added to their list, I'm thinking they could burn some people out, burn some bridges. So I think they definitely need to grow if as long as the numbers look good. And even if they're not so good now, I think that they can get there. I think yeah, like I say, like you said, I think they do need to address operational efficiencies. They need to look at those numbers, but I think there's definitely promise based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
So for those who favor improved operational efficiency, make a strong case to convince those who disagree. So what's your strong case?
My only thing would be it's got to be difficult figuring out the because whenever you order a dress, whether it's because you can order them by phone too, because I called them and talked to them about the sizing and they can order on there for you. Their system has to make sure that it's up to date fast enough, as well as making sure that if you order a dress that and somebody else wants it the day after, they have to figure out you have to send it back and they have to get it dry cleaned. So just the time in between. That's the only thing that I would say operational efficiency, because I didn't really touch on that in the case study. But I know when I ordered the dresses, some of them were being shipped to me by 2-day air, 1-day air, and some of them were just a regular UPS cycle. So that's the only thing for operational efficiency, because that's going to be just difficult to work out. That's what I'd say for them at that time, to figure out their operational efficiency before they started to grow more.
So you're saying that they were using a lot of different shipping methods and they weren't getting you the dresses when you needed them?
So whenever I ordered the dresses, they had called us one day before and they're like, the dress will be there just 1 day late. I mean, that's why there's a 3-day. They say, because when we called them, they said, make sure that it's the 3rd day that you're going to wear the third day of your rental cycle is the day that you're going to wear the dress. So you have it 2 days in advance, just in case it does get to you late. Because they can't rely on the shipping method. I mean, they can rely on the shipping method, but they can't always rely that it's going to get there the day that it's there. If it's 1 day shipping by UPS, they'd pay for it if it doesn't get there. 2 day air by UPS, they pay if it doesn't get there because you paid for the extra service. But if it's just UPS ground, they can't guarantee that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I worked at the UPS store too, so I know the UPS side of it.
So, yeah, I was wondering how they might deal with, I mean, if it's a 3-day rental, how are they going to deal with shipping? Because it's going to be, sometimes things show up really late. Are the customers going to be charged for that? So that's interesting.
Yeah, and they do give you a grace period on whenever it does get back.
Okay.
Depending on the day.
Could they use shipping tracking? I mean, can't they have
So they have tracking on the shipping because all UPS does. But see, so my wedding was on a Saturday, but we had a reception Friday night. We actually got one of the dresses Friday morning. Or 2 of the dresses Friday morning because they had to dry clean it. And I guess the person who had it before got it a little messy, so they had to clean it a little more. And then afterwards on Saturday, so our wedding was in the morning and then our reception was at night. And so no UPS Dropbox the Dropbox locations are open 24/7. But if you take it into a UPS store, that's where you're going to get the receipt to say that you dropped it off for the proof.
Yeah.
They are open on Sunday. And so Rent the Runway said, just make sure it's at the UPS store by Monday for a receipt. So they do give you, did I answer your question?
Yeah. They'd have to work with the customers and deal with weekends and variable shipping times.
Right. But I know for the first little bit they were open, they only shipped to certain cities. They didn't ship everywhere. Or so they had, depending on their inventory, would depend on where they send them to.
Okay.
Because now they have a couple different warehouses. They have one in New Jersey and they have one in New York. I think they have one in San Francisco too. And they actually have stores now that you can go into and rent the day up.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
It sounds like they've definitely expanded.
Oh, yeah, they have. And they have tons more dresses too. And they do have the jewelry. All my jewelry that I wore with my wedding dress was from there. Because I wasn't going to spend $600 on earrings when I could spend $30.
So this is all stuff that's like right off I wonder if it's stuff that's still right off the press. I'm not into, I'm sure there's a lot that they're considering as far as analytics go.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So improved operation. And as far as improved operational efficiency goes, I mean, I think it's obvious to try to improve as you go. I mean, that's how they're going to make their money and keep the customers happy. So,
Right.
yeah. So I think it's just a balance of scaling as fast as they can and improving and trying to stay in the black while they do that, or at least not so much in the red. So,
Right.
as long as they can forecast that they're going to make a profit with as long as they're investors, it looks like Bain Capital is working with them and some other people. So I don't think their investors are going to let them go too far into the red before
Right. Before they fall out.
pulling them out. So is there anything else you think we need to cover for this?
No, I think we got it all covered.
Okay. Have you? So I guess we can go on. You can take it off live if you want. But are we?